Well, looks like it's just you and me.
Well, I guess let's wait for. I'm sure Garrett will show up. Um, and I'm
That's one of the funniest things you've ever said.
okay. Oh, hate napkin. Got one. I'm thinking Carla here. People who feed other people's dogs. Who
Ooh. Yeah,
so
yeah. I have a problem with that.
my dog does not do well with bones, and in fact one of its puppies died because it was given a bone. So don't feed. It's not your animal. Does this happen to Gus?
Um, it doesn't happen to Gus, but it has happened with other dogs that I have had. And it doesn't happen to Gus because we make him go to the bathroom in the backyard and then he is walked on a leash. And if somebody goes to feed him, we just tell him he's got a very delicate digestive system and thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
But I've had people throw stuff over the fence and it's like, that is not going to happen. Well, I do have one.
Oh, great.
Uh, I I absolutely hate Facebook now because they've got this algorithm that goes back over things you said 3 years ago and they suspend you for 30 days. And then they tell you that they're going to put your posts at the bottom of the feed for the next 60 days. So they're going to bury anything you post for 60 days. Well, my boss called me the other night and he goes, I got suspended from Facebook for 30 days. And I was like, what did you say? He said, I misspelled a word and it looks like gringo. And I said, let me see the post. He sent it to me and you could clearly tell what he was trying to say. But they suspended him for 30 days. And then when he comes back on, they're going to bury his post for 60 days, 2 more months on a typo.
Right, and there's no customer service to fix it. So to this day, I can't buy Google Ads because there was a content in an Ask a Mexican syndicated column that was deemed racist. So it was like you had racist content. It's like and a total automated shit with no customer service. Same kind of story. Hugely affected the business for years. And you're just
Oh,
like, well,
of
you're a
course.
monopoly, and now I'm fucked on the internet,
Mhm.
which I was owning for that area. Like as a newbie, we were owning according to some data. So it was,
Of
yeah, it
course.
was just,
So I've abandoned that platform pretty much. I
yeah,
use it to check in on people, but if you're not posting cat memes or pictures of your food, you're going to get suspended.
yeah, it's,
Anything else will get you suspended. So I moved to Twitter. Well, now I get these inane tweets. Springsteen or Clapton. I say Clapton, fight me. What? What?
hey,
And
I don't want to,
10,000 people respond.
yeah, I don't want to choose.
I don't care.
Right.
And besides that, Springsteen. But regardless,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
regardless, it's if you want to talk about something, talk about it, but don't post like it's almost like clickbait.
Yeah, yeah, it's people lonely in their own lives, I guess. Which past 2 years you give a little forgiveness for that kind of shit, but
Well,
I've
that's
I've
true.
never I've never really been a fan of the Facebook, and it's something on my hate napkin actually, and no joke, it was Facebook groups, and this one I added very recently because a countryside girl I just love is was trying a new diet called
Mhm,
because she read a book called Raw Vegan.
mhm.
So it's like everything goes to extremes these days, you know what I mean? So my other friend is like, oh, well, read this book. She read this book, Raw Vegan. So this is what nothing cooked. So I was like, oh, well, yeah, I have the salad for her, but I was gonna roast potatoes. Like I wasn't getting it. Do you know what I mean? I was like, well, I was gonna do these black bean burgers. No, nothing cooked. I was like, even the cavemen cooked the plants that were around. What do you mean? Well, she read this. I was like, just because it's in a book, it doesn't mean it's a good idea. And this person agreed. And it's like, yes. And there's even it's a Facebook group. It's a community. So this is like, I think vegan's okay. I still think you should eat eggs and cheese and things that don't harm animals. This is another step of not even cooking the food. Eric would have
Okay.
something to say here.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. I don't walk up to people and go, "Hi, Carla Burns, Meteor." Why do I have to know
It,
immediately one of the first things about somebody is that they're vegan? They have to tell you about it.
it is an attention-seeking thing.
Because I will put fucking bacon on everything just to piss you off. So it's like, I don't have to announce that, I am a big proponent of killing
This
pigs.
and there's always a thing when you go to a restaurant where it's like, oh well, I'm I'm vegan. What do you have for me, me? Well, well, why don't you just
Read the
order some?
fucking menu.
Right? Why don't you just order some oatmeal and shut the fuck up? So yeah, uh, but this is one step further. The raw vegan diets where you don't even cook things.
Why? Why?
Because I couldn't find a way, and these are the people that like gets cancer and sick because like it's the variety that you need. You need a certain amount of minerals and vitamins from different things.
Protein.
Yeah, yeah. So now you're like, I can't have cooked anything. Okay. So you can't have beans? Like beans are protein. You can't eat beans unless you cook beans, and that as a vegetarian, that's your protein source. Why remove the only thing that would balance out your insane decision? Okay.
See, I would get kicked out of that group immediately because I go, oh, that sounds so good. You know what would make it better? Bacon.
Um, I do this a lot. I'll go to a restaurant and I'll order the vegetarian burger and
Mhm.
then I'll add bacon. And every time, no, because I really like it. Like it's like good.
Of course.
I don't want all that red meat and I want to eat semi-healthy and I want to have the fries and I want to have a little less guilt. It's like getting the Diet Coke with your fast food or whatever. But I'm like, yeah, I want a veggie burger, add bacon. And this is always my order when I see veggie burger. And every single time the waiter has to come back because the kitchen sends them back. And I'm like, yeah, put the bacon on the fucking veggie burger. It's gonna be great. It's gonna make it great. It's like a
Too
BLT.
funny.
It's like a BLT. Basically, and BLTs are
Yeah.
wonderful.
Mhm.
My favorite Hooters sandwich, by the way. It was always the cheapest thing at Hooters.
Okay. I hate Hooters.
I love Hooters. And let me tell you why.
Why?
The waitresses would waitresses come into Hooters, there's a box of Man Be Gone rings. So they come into Hooters for their shift and they have to put whatever pins and suit whatever the Hooters thing on and
Mhm.
then they pick if they want, they pick a ring from the Man Be Gone and it's like their new engaged spouse. And now this is like you got to have the inside knowledge, and that makes the visit so fun because she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm engaged," and then you can ask a million questions about the engagements, about their fiance, and everything is a lie because it's just something they were like, I'm engaged and you're not supposed to.
Oh,
So he's like, when's the wedding? Oh, what is he, what's his job? And
that's fabulous.
it's so entertaining that you're gonna want to go to Hooters
Well,
because
it's certainly the basis for, a lifelong relationship, everything built on a lie.
but like it's incredibly fun to continually put this like just to make the waitress do this web of course I tip huge, but just like I have no interest in the Hooters waitress, but to make her tell me 1,000 lies before I even get my like terrible wings, it's so delightful. It's so fun.
I
I, s-
know, but
I suggest you bring, it's a family restaurant. I suggest you bring Cletus to the Alabama Hooters and have Cletus ask questions about the fiance. When are they getting married? What is he like?
that
Um,
kid can
when's his
ask 1,001
birthday?
questions. It's
Oh yeah,
perfect.
just what kind of wedding does he want? What kind of wedding? How did you meet? Just never stop. It's so fun.
I had a guy that I worked with, and his wife was really pissed at him for their anniversary. He took her to Hooters, and he goes, "I don't know what the problem is. I just don't see the problem." And I said, "Well," I said, "how about if on your birthday she takes you to a restaurant called Big Johnson's?" I somehow think he wouldn't have liked it, but yeah.
Wasn't that Bob's Big Boy?
What, Big Johnson's?
I thought that was
No.
no, that was Howard Johnson's, which turned into Bob's Big Boy.
Howard Johnson's was actually the food.
No,
I
but
always
it
thought the
turned
food there was
into
really
Bob's
good.
Big Boy bought them.
I know.
Yeah.
And now there are almost no Bob's Big Boys, but there is one not far from me, and it's still there. And the food's still good.
Wow. You got to be kidding
Yep.
me. Wait,
No,
wait, wait.
there's one in like 500 miles of
These are
here.
called ghost restaurants. So I think it's Clearwater, Florida. I've driven by it. There's a Friendlies, a ghost Friendlies. So the Friendlies franchise shut down, but there's a ghost
I never
Friendlies.
heard of Friendlies.
Oh, Friendlies had just like fried horrible food. Like burgers, quesadillas, everything was fried in oil. And they actually had like a pretty good breakfast. They would have the two eggs, two toasts, two bacon for $2.22. Old people loved it.
I'm sure.
And and Friendlies was famous for their happy ending Sundays. And the happy ending Sundays were cone heads. So it would be a scoop of ice cream, 13 Reese's Pieces or M&Ms, sorry, 13 M&Ms or Reese's Pieces. You'd put one, two. I worked at Friendly, so I knew what you were supposed to do.
Oh,
So I would make the cone heads, and I would put like two heads and make like a deformed one and send it off.
of course you would.
Of course, and of course I would have to deliver it to the table, and they would, the kid didn't care. Like I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry. Like one out of every 1,000 comes out a little deformed. it's there's nothing really we can really do about it. There's sometimes I put two cones. Oh, so fun.
Meanwhile, mom's crying at the table and the kid's just not caring.
I'm
He's
like,
just shoveling.
enjoy your retarded happy ending, which,
it,
which
it sounds like the Last Supper.
Speaking of the Last Supper, my other favorite bit was this priest that I know because my dad worked at the local church. This priest comes into Friendlies, and he would come in like pretty often, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And he comes in, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Father, how long has it been since the last time you came to Friendlies? Like just really somber and like I'm supposed to be seating him. I'm like, I'm sorry, Father. How long has it been since the last time you came to Friendlies?
Did he get it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he was like floored. It's like,
Listen, I'm a Reformed Catholic. I've been to confession enough. That's funny as shit.
yeah, I totally tortured him, and it was kind of a callback to my youth when I was like 6. I was sick like 6 years old, and I just knew I already knew the whole Catholic thing. And the priest calls, talk to my dad because he's a deacon at the church, and I answer the phone, and it's like 9:30 at night or something, and the priest is like, oh, this is Paul, the youngest. I was like, yeah. He's like, what are you still doing up? I'm like, I'm saying my prayers.
But it does sound like you.
Right.
The funny thing about being Catholic is you're always a recovering Catholic. You can't get over certain things. I remember walking into a Catholic hospital with a nurse friend of mine. She had to go visit a patient. She was a visiting nurse, and it was one of her patients. And I go in with her. The elevator doors open, and there is this big, like 95-year-old priest. And I was like, "Good morning, Father." Just walk in. She turns around and looks at me, and she's like, "Holy shit, are you Catholic?" She goes immediately, like, "Bow, good morning, Father," and just keep walking. And it was kind of funny in the end because I actually like caught myself in that moment, and it was like, "Oh, you dumbass." I actually made friends with a priest when I was living in Hooterville out at the lake. And there was a priest in town, and he was a really cool guy, young guy, and played the guitar. And he was really funny because I used to just smack talk him all the time, and he thought it was funny. So he kept trying to get me to come to church. And I just, I had this thing against lightning bolts. And so I was like, "Well, why don't you come to my church?" And he goes, "Where's your church?" And I said, "Every Sunday morning on my dock at the lake with a fishing pole in my hand." And he goes,
Nice.
"Well, I'm kind of tied up on Sunday." And so the last time I was there, I gave her, because she literally boils this coffee on the stove in an old tin pan. And I gave her one of these stainless steel mugs. And
Nice.
she's like, "What's this for?" And I said, "Because when you put your coffee in it, it keeps it hot." And she's like, "Well, for how long?" I'm like, 2 hours. And her eyes got real big. And she's like, "Really?" And she goes, "Well, when my coffee gets cold, I just pour it back in the pan." And I was like, "So I've been drinking your spit?" She threw her head back and started laughing so hard. And she was like, "Yes, you have." Now I know why it's so good. But I gave her one of these, and I guess when I left, she decided to start drinking out of this thing.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
everybody who stopped by her store was like, "What's that?"
They all want one.
I mean, this village is so remote. So then she became like the village celebrity because she had this magic cup.
Let's send
And
300 to the town.
honestly, I leave
I'll
one.
buy this. Let's do it.
I leave one every time I go down there. And
Oh,
I told her,
fantastic.
I said, "Sell it. Make some money off of it. They're cheap here."
You guys would have like radio tech issues and then carry on?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure. And I had the best sound engineer, an earpiece, and I could hear him in my earpiece because he would tell me when to break for commercial. And one day I had this comedian on who um, his real name is Paul Day. He's out of Boston, Worcester, Mass. And he had this character that he would do called Billy Bobneck. And he would broadcast from his basement and film these YouTube videos. The guy is brilliant.
Ahead of his time.
He was, and I had him
Right.
on my show, and he went after me for being one of those feminazi liberals, an Obama Nazi and all this stuff. And then he would sing these songs about, going to hell. And his heyday was in the Tea Party era.
Oh yeah, that was the
Yeah, him and
start.
his little daughter were out teabagging for Jesus. The guy was a phenom.
Oh, great.
And he got tired of it, and so he killed him off.
Brilliant.
He killed him off. There was an announcement one morning that, they were sorry to announce that Billy Bobneck, had been released from his earthly bonds and went to go be with Jesus.
This is where we're missing Arik. This is a story for another time. I hope you can retell the killing off story, because Arik can
I
help
will.
supplement a story about. I had a fake writer and fake salesperson with stock photos. Like I would write
Good.
I was writing under a woman and also a fake salesperson, and I killed one of them off. And I had an event, a funeral for them at the local bar at Go Feathers.
Did
And I got,
people show up?
oh, it was a Facebook experiment, and it's disturbing how many people showed up, because it was this hot girl, and I blew up the photo, and I bought roses from the local floral shop. So this guy, only he knows that it's fake. He doesn't tell anyone. He's like, yeah, I'll provide I think he provided the food. Oh, no, I did an ad trade. So it was like, yeah, he provided food and had like an open bar. And I just had this giant party that was a funeral. And I can send you a picture, another picture I have to
For
send.
a non-existent person.
It's a stock photo I bought
Oh my God.
and I had it on an easel with roses around it. And
It is
here,
such a
no,
good
no,
it's such a good thing we didn't know each other back then, or we would both be living out of the country.
absolutely. And Arik can confirm this. The arts writer, who is this, her name's Judith Trunkos. I think she's from, I forget where Judith is from, some European country. I don't remember. So she like was doing art stories. So my biggest regret is that everyone in the paper kind of knew, but she was like this person I didn't communicate with a lot. So she came and was like, I'm so sorry. And she's from like this other country and writes really professional arts stuff. And I was like, Judith, I don't know how to tell you this, but like, don't be sad. This is not real. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, stop.
What did she
Stop
say?
cheering up. She thought it was hysterical. Thank God, she thought it was hysterical. But I was like, this is kind of a Facebook experiment. And then I got so drunk that it just got out of control. There was a candlelight vigil, and I did not buy these candles. I don't know who. I have to, maybe Arik knows. Somebody took it a step further, I think. And I don't know if it was Arik or like a Facebooker. Like, I don't know who took it a step further, but there was a fucking candlelight vigil around in the 5 Points around the fountain, the main fountain. And I had gone so far, and I'm so drunk at this point. I'm like, I'm gonna go up and speak. And then so I go up I was like, to do the
The
memorial,
eulogy.
the
Yes.
eulogy. And there's this homeless guy that had handwritten the Bible. His thing, like he handwritten the Bible. He was trying to show it. I don't know if he was trying to sell it. I don't know. So but the homeless guy's there, like the homeless guy with the Bible is like a Bible guy, and just the scene. And I start going up. Please don't be offended, because I was a little drunk and I was young. This is like 12 years ago. But started like, we're all going to miss Kate Cohen. I think many of us here got to know her better than we ever thought we would. I always thought that her vagina tasted a little salty, and then I just started talking about her vagina, for a good 2 or 3 minutes. The homeless guy's yelling at me. It was a scene. The homeless guy with the Bible is saying how it's disrespectful. You have to ask Eric. This is the story of Kate Cohen.
Okay, but I want you to listen to me very carefully. I'm not only not offended by that story. When I die, I'm planning to be cremated. So there will be a memorial service, I'm sure. You have to make a promise to me. Okay?
Make the same speech I made for Kate Cohen.
You have to give me at least 2 minutes of an ode to my vagina.
Absolutely.
In front of everyone there.
Absolutely. That is
and you
promise.
have my you have. That's and I want you to I want you to be
promise.
holding a beverage when you do it.
That's a promise. Absolutely. Like, just not many people know this, but we were very close. and I was never a person that was really into hairy vaginas, but there was just something about this one. Yeah. I always gray pubic hairs would normally disgust me, but there was something about these gray pubic hairs that I just.
They were so fine.
They weren't coarse. They were not coarse. Not what you would expect. Okay. I'll work on it. I'll make sure it's better than that.
Oh, please do. Please do, because my spirit will be somewhere in that room dying, watching the look.
I hope
on
I
have
50 years to write it, and it'll get good in 50.
Well, honey, at 110, if anybody talks about.
Sorry, 40 years. Let's shoot for Betty White here.
Okay, fair enough, but still.
Only Betty White would enjoy that.
To be there to see the look on my boss's face. I'm gonna have to warn him though. Otherwise he will beat you to death.
Really, I couldn't believe that this like homeless guy had like more morals than I did at that moment. I was like, oh my god, this guy is like.
You're shocked?
I was just like I'm the one that's wrong here, and he's like correcting me. Really,
oh my god!
Really angry. So angry at me.
I somehow think all homeless people have more morals than I do. That's a given. Yep. Yeah, my ex used to hang out at Possum's Pub.
I don't know that.
And when I kicked him out of the house, I had all his mail forwarded to Barstool number 3 in care of Possum's Pub.
Nice. That's brilliant. That's
yeah, he comes into the bar one day and the barmaid puts a sack of mail in front of him. And he's like, what's that? She's like, seems that your ex-wife has forwarded your mail here. And it all said Barstool number 3.
Perfect.
This was fun.
It was fun.